Primetime local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
Welcome back to Primetime. If you were just watching us on CKSA, we're now on CITL for another hour of local news in the Lloydminster area, as well as the rest of the region. And again, I'm Josh Ryan, joined by Elise Darwish. I know you're used to someone far shorter and with a very different complexion, but
that's true.
You're stuck with me for at least a day or two here. Elise.
We're happy to have you.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Glad to be around.
Yeah.
Now, question of the day, really quick, we want to touch on again. How much are you going to tune into the Grey Cup? That's Calgary and the Red Blacks taking each other on.
Yeah. Well, quickly on that, I will probably check in, but probably not as intently as if Edmonton Eskimos were involved. So that's that.
Okay. That's too bad.
Yeah.
I love the Stampeders, so
there you go.
Casually love the Stampeders as a Calgary native. So I will be tuning in for a bit. Let's go check in really quickly, though, with Brittany Matika, who's over at the Red Dress Project.
The Red Dress Project is here at the Lloydminster Cultural and Science Centre until the middle of December. Now, the project was started by a group of students and staff from Bishop Lloyd Middle School. They've taken photographs with red dresses in and around Lloydminster to help raise awareness for the missing and murdered Indigenous women. In Canada, since 1980, over 3,000 women have gone missing, and 60% of those are Indigenous. The project started in 2010 from an artist in Winnipeg to raise awareness, and this display in here is really moving. I highly recommend you coming down, but we are going to have more coming up later on in the show, as well as speaking with some of the students to find out what they learned and why this is important to them. But right now, we're going to head back over to the studio and check in with Elise to find out what's going on in local news.
Lloydminster is getting in the loop by getting online to help local businesses. Get in the Loop is a free downloadable app that local businesses can use to post about their deals and events happening in their stores.
Just one of the big things is a lot of people, like to say, just shop local, and to have an opportunity to bring, help for the user side and the business side to help, businesses create more activity in store.
In just a few months, Colin has already seen a lot of interest from the business side, and the goal is to get as many local businesses on board as possible.
In the app, we'll be able to bring up our loop bar on top, which will be different loops, kind of in examples like your spa salon, your food and drink, and shopping, and etc.
If you want to get in the loop, you can download the app and see if your local favorites are promoting deals. And in 2017, there was more than 1,500 local licensed businesses here in Lloydminster. All local business owners are a part of the community and put Lloydminster first. When you're buying from a locally owned store, you're helping the owner pay for personal things.
Lloydminster businesses are staffed, are owned by local residents, your friends and neighbors. So by supporting Lloydminster businesses, you're helping your neighbors to put their kids in dance lessons, pay their rent, pay their mortgages, buy groceries.
When you shop locally, you're helping to support your friends and neighbors. And a local real estate agency will spend this Christmas season spotlighting charitable community organizations on social media.
And when you dig into them, they're fascinating.
21 Days is a campaign running the first 21 days of December to highlight nonprofits and charity organizations that operate year-round. Airing as a video series over social media, it's aiming to show community value and focus on the needs each organization has.
We all think of our favorite charity or our favorite organization. We may be able to count one or two or three on our hands. But if you think 21, and if we pulled them back and pulled them out, think of the enormous need that wouldn't be getting met.
One of these organizations is the Salvation Army, which runs programs for those in need and uses volunteers year-round. Those interested in what the campaign will feature can check Century 21's social media pages starting December 1st. And this weekend, the Christmas Craft Fair was in full swing, but the show has seen a difference in numbers. Our Brett Holden has more in this week's retrospect.
It didn't take long for things to get busy this morning at the annual Christmas Craft Fair. With over 300 booths open, there is without a doubt a little something for everyone.
I've got cheesecake fudge, turtle fudge, diabetic fudge, fudge in a mug, If you have fudge in a mug, it's simply yours once you start eating it.
Joanne Mays began building handcrafted wood furniture 13 years ago. Her creations are inspired by her home.
I live in a home that's 100 years old, and I just like the look of the old antique country, old country.
This year, the Christmas Craft Fair saw approximately 350 booths, and organizers say that this year was a successful one.
Yeah, and the vendors were all happy. We were sold out for the craft fair side and the business side. We were completely sold out for our vendors, so it was a very excellent year.
However, Shadeen says that numbers for the craft fair have gone down the last few years.
During our boom times, we were probably having about 18,000 people through the door. Last year was 15,000, this year 13,000. Our numbers are going down a little bit, but really, you know, with the way things have been, it's kind of expected, and we're still very happy. 13,000 people through the door is still an excellent number.
For This Week in Retrospect, I'm Brett Holden.
Retrospect is brought to you by Webb's Machinery. Webb's Machinery, your New Holland dealer in Vermilion, Bakerville, and Lamont.
And now we're going to send it back to Brittany, who is at the Red Dress Project.
Michelle Rahoric joins me now, and she is from Bishop Lloyd Middle School, and she started a project this year with a number of students from the school to bring the Red Dress Photography Project to Lloyd. So share with me, what is the project that the students and yourself worked on?
It's taking pictures of red dresses, and we took them around Lloydminster to raise awareness of missing, murdered Indigenous women and girls. Pretty powerful project. I had about 15 students take pictures, and now we're here.
So what inspired you to get the students from the middle school involved with this and raise awareness and bring this to Lloydminster and really localize it?
I was at the Reconciliation Walk last year, and Jamie Black, an artist from Winnipeg, had done installations of red dresses around the city to raise awareness. Mufti Mathewson was also came to speak at the event, and she was like, "What is a 70-year-old woman from Edmonton supposed to do to raise awareness?" And she said, "I can take pictures." So I was like, I can do that too. So I got students involved and took pictures.
And what has students' reactions been to the project and getting involved and learning more about what has been going on in Canada?
For some kids, they already knew, so they got involved because they were passionate about the project. For others, I think it was just a little bit eye-opening to realize that this was going on, and so they were proud to be part of the project as well.
And how many different dresses did we have, as we can see in the room around us? They're in many different photos.
I would say about 30 that were donated by people from the LPSD for us to use and take pictures of.
Perfect. Thanks for sharing that with us, Michelle. And we're going to have more coming up a little bit later on in the show regarding the Red Dress Project here in Lloydminster. But right now, we're going to head back over to the studio and check in with them to find out what's going on.
Thank you once again, Brittany. Now, as you can see here, +1 is the current temperature in the border city. Not the greatest temperature if you're a sunny situation person like myself and certainly Elise Darwish, as we discussed off camera. But it's still pretty good considering what we've had in this region beforehand. So if you look at the records here, westerly winds of 21 kilometers. It's +14 is the warmest it's ever been in Lloydminster this time of the year. -25, that's in 2011, is the coldest it's ever been. Now, if you had to go on average, we're actually doing pretty well. +1 is in favor. It's on the upper end of that warm to negative stretch of cold weather there. So I'll take a +1, even though we have some snow, and even though it's still just not that nice out. It's more the sunlight I miss necessarily even than the warmth at this point. So we're going to move on to our satellite radar here. You can see plenty of cloud cover expected over the next day or so, but a little peak of sunlight here or there, and that's basically going to be the story the rest of the week. Moving into North Battleford now, -3 is the current temperature, so starting to cool down a little bit, but the wind has also calmed down, which is nice. -7 overnight, -2 tomorrow. Wind will shift to the south by then, of course, and will pick up again to be in the double-digit speed. Again, largely cloudly skies there. Now in Cold Lake, it is also currently -3, also going to get down to -7, and it's going to get back up to -2 by tomorrow afternoon. Wind also, again, shifting from the west to the south, but a little more calm in that region. Cloudy situation there expected. Really quickly in Lloydminster, again, +1 with -6 overnight, and expected to be -1 tomorrow afternoon with winds out of the south-southwest. The Lloydminster Bobcats' losing streak is over. After 7 straight losses, they managed to defeat the Whitecourt Wolverines 5-3 Saturday evening. Now, this was the team's first win under new coach Nigel Dubé. They had lost 2-1 in his debut against Grand Prairie and then had a 3-2 loss in Drayton Valley on Friday night. Rookie Hunter Lamb had an excellent game with a goal and 2 assists in the victory. Another losing streak broken is that of the Lloydminster Bandits, who had a pair of victories over the weekend against Vermilion and Vegreville. A few more wins in the column for the Lakeland Rustlers volleyball teams. However, they did have mixed results against the King's University Eagles this weekend. The women began by nearly squandering a 2-0 lead before coming from behind 7-2 and 11-9 to win the 5th set 15-11 on a 6-point run. At Lakeland, Kings then took advantage of mismatches in size, winning in 4 sets over the Rustlers, including a 25-9 blowout in the second set. This is the first ACAC loss for Austin Dyer's squad since February. Now, the men's team had their worst match of the year, losing 25-17, 25-11, and 25-22 to the then winless Eagles on Friday before bouncing back the next day to win in straight sets at home. This places the Rustlers at 6-4, good for 4th in the North Division, while the women dropped to 2nd place because of that tiebreaker with Kings, another previously undefeated team. The Rustlers basketball teams actually outperformed volleyball for the first time this season, sweeping all 4 games against the Kings Eagles. The women's team came out on top 67-46 and 62-54, outscoring the Eagles 76-54 in combined second-half play. The men dominated Kings in both contests, with Tay Holiday leading the way by tallying 50 points and 27 rebounds over the course of those 2 games. Now heading into a bye week, the women are 5-5, while the men are 4-6. 3 teams from the Wheatland Football League will compete on Saturday with a provincial championship in store for the winner. That's all taking place in Fort McMurray. The Tier 4 9th-ranked team, the St. Paul Lions, will face the Canmore Wolverines after defeating Stettler 20-10. In Tier 3, the Holy Rosary Raiders will play the top-ranked Cochrane High Cobras for the 4th straight season, looking to earn their first Tier 3 title. And finally, the undefeated Lloyd Comp Barons handled St. Joseph's in Grand Prairie easily 38-15, and they will face Holy Trinity from Okotoks in Tier 2. And some local high school volleyball stories. The Barons men's team went 2-2 at the 5A Provincial Championships in Saskatchewan, just missing out on playoff qualification in their first time competing in the province. While the Holy Rosary Raiders teams had zone competition in Lac La Biche, unfortunately, neither were able to win their zone and thus earn a victory to 3A Provincials. And that's it for sports. Let's check in with Brittany at the Red Dress Project.
I'm joined now by a group of students from Bishop Lloyd Middle School who worked on the project. So let's talk a little bit about, why do you think that this was important?
Well, I think it's important because for me, I'm First Nation, and it's really made me want to join it really bad because I heard of Indigenous women who went murdered or missing, and I didn't think it should be ignored.
Definitely. And now, Ethan, lots of these photos are taken in different places around our community. How did you guys decide where you would put the dresses for the photos?
Oh, well, we chose like locations like potentially where like women could go like missing or be murdered at. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And did you yourself take some of the photos?
Yes, I took a couple of them.
Perfect. That's great. And now with this project, there was approximately 15 students involved. But what did you learn from doing this project?
I learned that not all of the murder cases or abducted cases got investigated or solved. And unfortunately, most of them were including Indigenous women.
Well, thank you so much, you guys, for sharing that and for creating such a project with your other classmates from grade 8 that does really inspire us to think a little bit more about what is going on in our Canada. However, right now we're going to have to head back over to the studio and check in with them to find out what's going on.
Another look at your weather here. We have plenty of cloud cover expected over the next couple of days, but it doesn't at this point come with a caveat of having plenty of precipitation in store as well. And I think we're all pretty happy with the amount of snow we have now. We don't really need to add to it, especially for those who have to drive on the highway roads here. Now, we're just going to move on to North Battleford. You can see -3, -7 overnight, and -2 tomorrow. The wind is going to shift again from the west to the south by tomorrow afternoon, and we'll start to pick up a little bit. So that'll bump into that wind chill that they're experiencing over there. Again, -2 will be the high. Basically identical temperatures in Cold Lake currently and expected for the overnight and the high for tomorrow. Now, the wind again shifting from the west to the south, but it's not going to pick up in speed, so things a little bit nicer in that region. Possibly a few more gleams of sunlight there as well. While here in Lloydminster, still sitting at +1, and it's getting increasingly darker by the minute. The wind will calm down quite a bit overnight, though we will get up to -6. -1 expected tomorrow with calmer winds, though they'll come out of the south-southwest. And again, a few clearings in those clouds, so we might get some sunlight, but a largely cloudy day expected in Lloydminster. For those of you in school, just to give you an idea, -5 by the time people are getting up. By the time you get to recess and lunch, things will start to warm up a fair bit, and when you get back home after school, it will be around that high of -1. And now your 7-day forecast: 0 expected on Wednesday, -7 the overnight low, then 0 on Thursday with a low of -6. Then things really cool down. -4 Friday with a low of -8, -8 Saturday with a low of -12, then -11 with a low of -15. That is a very odd-looking -11, as you can see on your screen, but that maybe is partly just because it's going to be that cold with the wind chill as well. -9 then on Monday with a low of -14, but by then we might get a few gleams of sunlight. We definitely will see a little sunlight as well on Thursday. And that has been your 7-day forecast.
And now we're going to send it back to Brittany, who is at the Red Dress Project.
Kate Squizzato joins me now, and she's the collection coordinator here. And we were just talking off camera about what an impact these photos make here in this collection. So share with me, what are your thoughts on the collection, as I know you see a variety of different exhibits come through these walls?
Yeah, so we change out our exhibits almost once a month, depending on what exhibit it is. And so this one we're quite happy to have. It's a very powerful, very moving exhibit. I know when we had the opening on Saturday, a lot of people showed up and they were all very moved by what was being discussed and, you know, the impact that this exhibit has, not just on Canada, but in our own community as well.
And now this was all done locally. So now here at the Lloydminster Cultural and Science Centre, we do encourage people to promote their own type of exhibits?
Exactly. We try to do as many community-based exhibits as possible a year, so artists kind of come to us and, you know, talk about how they want to display their work, or they want to, you know, kind of make a statement, whatever. And we really enjoy, you know, being able to provide them that opportunity to display their art in a professional setting.
And now on Saturday with the opening, share with me, what were people's reactions and what were their takeaways when, you know, they come through the door and through the exhibit? What were you hearing from people?
A lot of people, they either, you know, don't know about the missing and murdered Indigenous women, or they're just not fully aware of the impact it has on Lloydminster. And so being able to come out and learn a little bit more about that, being able to come out and talk about to people who are directly impacted by it, was really quite an eye-opener for a lot of people.
And how long is this exhibit here for?
So this exhibit is here until the middle of December.
So it is still here for quite a bit of time if you are interested in coming out. And now it is just part of, if you come to tour the entire center, you can come in and see this as well?
That's correct. So it's part of the admission fee. You can come in and you can tour the center.
Perfect. Well, thanks so much for sharing all that information with us, Kate. However, right now we're out of time. We're going to have to head back over to the studio and check in with them to find out what's going on.
And we're back. Before we get to our question of the day, this was an off-camera conversation that we just have to share with everyone. The Rocky series. You think you have only seen the first Rocky?
Yeah, I think I've only seen the first one, like the original classic Rocky. But I do want to watch more of them because now Creed 2 is coming out, and isn't it all a tie-in of the series, kind of?
You can technically say that Creed is the 7th Rocky film, which would make Creed 2 the 8th Rocky film, but it sounds like they're branching off a little bit more now. I guess that more and more of these characters are going to die off because they get a little older. But yeah, I'd recommend you check them out, except you can definitely skip Rocky 5.
Okay.
Chime in on Twitter at Primetime Local or at Josh Ryan Sports if you agree that you can skip Rocky 5. I think that's a perfectly fine thing to do. But the question of the day, really quickly, who will win, Calgary or Ottawa?
Ooh.
And I think so far, from what we were looking at the polls, it's about 75% of our audience says that Calgary will win, despite their recent failures in the Grey Cup.
Maybe that's because they think, okay, they've lost too many times, and now it's like they've had their chances that it's like they can't not win this time. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, which makes them, I guess, the Washington Capitals.
Yeah,
of the Grey
exactly.
Cup. I mean, the Capitals failed many times. No one thought they would ever win, and
then
they got it done yesterday.
There you go.
And thank goodness for us, because social media was alive thanks to Alexander Ovechkin and his snow angels in a fountain. Well, very inebriated. Now let's move on to the pet of the day, obviously everyone's favorite segment. And we have some great pets in store for you again. So Michelle Boehm submitted this. That's Winnie.
She's ready for winter.
Yeah, absolutely. Next, we have Goop.
It's a great name.
I can see why Maxine decided to call her cat Goop.
Yeah.
Moving on now to Hank. And Hank's definitely
so
a cute little guy. Ashley Clifford Reinhardt, thank you for that submission. Vincent Van Goat, definitely trying to make a statement here. Chelsea Scriber sending that in. I think Vincent's going to have a shot at that win.
Yeah.
And a triple threat to end with Oxter, Trippy, and Fluff. Trippy doesn't seem that excited, but we're excited
doesn't want to
see.
be outside.
Yeah, but we're excited to see them on camera. Thank you, Jessica Brandy. And don't forget, if you chime in on our social media pages with your pet of the day and a picture and the names, you can win a gift card.
We want to see your pets. Send photos of your pet and their name to our Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram to have them featured on Pet of the Day. Your name will be entered into a weekly draw for a gift certificate from the Pet Pad.
Furniture set and design supplied by Furniture Gallery and Furniture House, downtown Lloydminster.
And we're back in studio, Josh and Bucky, and going to the national stage for sports. Big news out of the weekend was the Battle of Alberta. It's been an up and down season for hockey fans in this province, but there have been flashes of brilliance from both teams, and there's an exciting game to be watched on Saturday.
Yeah, I think at least the first 20 to maybe 30 minutes of that game, that was one of the best hockey to watch. And if you're old school and you like a little bit of rock and sock and kind of hockey, that's what you got on Saturday in Calgary. Disappointment for the Oilers. They had a good start. They really had a good 40 minutes. And their last 20 was disappointment. And that last 20 almost seemed to carry them over to Sunday's game against Vegas. Vegas comes into Edmonton, and they just rolled the Oilers. It leaves many wondering, what do they do next? And Peter Chiarelli, you know what? You're almost wondering if he is giving the right pieces to the head coach to work with. Because really, all the Oilers scoring is coming from 4 players, and that's it. You can't win in the NHL like that. And right now, they're in a weak Pacific Division. This is their chance to move up. And their next 8 games are pretty well against Pacific Division rivals. If they don't go on a good run here, their season could be buried quickly.
Absolutely. They really have been, they've been buried, it feels like, over the past 6 years with just continuous poor defensive play. And they've never really drafted that number 1 or number 2 defenseman that they hoped could sort of anchor the defense. They have some talent back there, but they've never really had that number 1, number 2 guy. And they've lost the depth, as you said, that they had on offense 2 years ago.
Yeah, and they've lost the depth. They don't have secondary scoring. Their defense don't move the puck up to the forwards that need it. They're getting shaky goaltending from what's supposed to be their number 1 goalie. Their number 2 is now their number 1.
A problem that both teams have had, unfortunately.
Yeah, Mike Smith has looked shaky at best for the Calgary Flames this year. So you wonder if goaltending is going to get fixed on either side, the Flames or the Oilers side. And they always say Thanksgiving in the U.S., which is coming up this week, if you're not in the top 8 in the West or the East, and if you're not in a playoff spot, you won't make the playoffs. So the Calgary Flames, Edmonton Oilers, you got to giddy up.
Giddy up, and I'm sure plenty of people are saying giddy up after the Calgary Stampeders won on the weekend against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. That was the more competitive game of the two. The Ottawa Red Blacks not having much difficulty against Hamilton.
Yeah, and you saw Hamilton play against BC in the semifinal, and Hamilton just steamrolled BC. And then you kind of thought it would be a good game between Hamilton and Ottawa, and that game was over quick. It was close at halftime. Become the third quarter, Ottawa took control and never looked back. Trevor Harris had an outstanding game, a record 6 touchdown passes. Now Ottawa goes against Calgary up at Edmonton. How many Edmonton fans are going to cheer for the Stampeders? I doubt it. A lot of pressure on the Stampeders. They've been at this game before. 2 years ago, they locked up with Ottawa in the Grey Cup, had a great game, lost it overtime, and again, disappointment for the Stampeders. They can win during the regular season, but they're being criticized for not winning that big game. Stampeders have to win on Sunday.
Absolutely, and I think we will see a lot of Calgary fans at least make the trek.
Yeah, you will. Yeah, but I don't think you're going to see a lot of Eskimos fans or Riders fans, because there's going to be a lot of fans coming in from Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
They will not cheer for the Stampeders.
No, but I know I will be, as I always do. And a last note, of course, the Rustlers women's volleyball team losing for the first time this season at home in somewhat surprising fashion to the Kings Eagles. They now have just 2 matches left this semester, so we'll get to see that on the weekend. I'm really curious to see how they respond. Thank you, Bucky, for being in, as always. We'll have more on Primetime coming up next.
The Red Dress Project will be at the Lloydminster Cultural and Science Centre until the middle of December. So if you are looking to come and take a look and find out a little bit more information about the project, you can come down and take a look. As you can see, even this photograph behind me displays one of the red dresses that's meant to symbolize one of the missing women that could have been on that park bench, or maybe that was the location of where she went missing from. In Canada, there are 3,000 women that have went missing since 1980, and 60% of those were Indigenous. And as you heard from the students earlier today, this is definitely something that we want to make sure our voices are heard and that those cases are investigated, as this is a real tragedy, especially even here in Lloydminster. This is something that we can relate to. All of the photos are taken in and around our community, and on the wall as well are stories of some of the missing women from around our community. However, we are out of time right now, and we're going to have to head back over to the studio and check in with them to find out what's going on.
And we're back for one last little chit chat. I believe you have some artistry.
I do. Well, since we are promoting Josh's Movember, I wanted to participate a little bit. In our beautiful pillow, I kind of tried to draw a mustache into
talent.
that. I don't know if it looks like one, but
I think you did okay.
There you go.
I think it looks pretty solid. We actually have.
I tried.
I think you tried and succeeded.
Well,
I would say.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Now, if you guys want to donate to my Movember campaign, you can go to my Twitter page at Josh Ryan Sports. We'll have a link there. You can also see the link, the specific link right here. So mobro.co/JR's Ugly Stash.
Awesome.
That was taken a week ago, so it has grown a little bit since then. And it'll probably grow a little bit longer as you go along.
I think it's holding up pretty good. Look at that.
I mean, it's held better than
that
it
shot.
has in recent times. And again, even if it's just $1, any money that is donated to it goes towards men's mental health, which is an issue that's pretty near and dear to my heart. I know that kind of sounds weird to say mental health is near and dear, but it is something I feel is really important to deal with. So,
well, go vote. Or not vote, go donate. That's what we need.
I mean, we recommend voting as well.
Voting for the best mustache could be a thing too.
But we should all take seriously. And with that, thank you for watching Primetime Local News, and we'll see you tomorrow
Have a
at
good
5.
night.